Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jesse Gunkel with the very latest. I know you're joining us online. If you haven't watched us on television, I just want to keep everybody up to speed as to what's happening this evening. Right now we're watching some showers and some thunderstorms really across the northern part of the state, all associated with an incoming cold front. However, we're getting mid and upper level support, and throughout the day we've had some very strong winds out there. It's been very breezy, a lot of moisture out there. Again, we're looking at these winds changing with height. We could be in store for a very active morning out there. The instability levels are extremely high. And yes, they all could converge right on top of us, or at least around southeastern and central Louisiana. So again, this is all going to happen at a very terrible time. Again, the timing couldn't be worse. In fact, this is going to happen overnight, mainly between the hours of 2 and about 8 a.m. So what you need to do is be prepared for those morning hours, have a game plan, and be ready to act. Make sure that cell phone is charged and ready to go. Make sure the volume is all the way up so you can hear all of those alerts. And now once that front goes through, it looks like things will finally calm down as soon as we get to mid to late morning. And then after that, we'll get a little bit of a break. But here's the current situation out there right now. The red is a moderate risk. That is a 4 out of 5. That's very high on the scale. Widespread to numerous severe thunderstorms are expected. The orange kind of falls across northern portions of our viewing area. That is a 3. That is an enhanced risk. Still scattered to numerous widespread or thunderstorms that are capable of producing damaging winds and isolated tornadoes. And then a little bit further south across the capital area, right along I-10, along the corridor, you can see that we've got that slight risk for severe weather, and that still means there is that potential for some damaging winds across the area, along with some large hail and yes, some heavy rainfall that could ultimately lead to a little bit of flash flooding across the area. So here's what we got going on. As we move into tomorrow, the threat does shift a little bit further east, but after 6 a.m., you can still see the portions of our viewing area. That includes east and west Baton Rouge, portions of Livingston, and as you notice, all the way down through Ascension Parish, Assumption under a marginal risk, but all areas such as New Orleans, down towards Houma, maybe even St. James and St. John the Baptist Parish and the North Shore will be underneath that slight risk until about noontime before we begin to quiet things down. So here we go. This is the very latest information, and right now we fall underneath a severe thunderstorm watch, and that's mainly for northern portions of the viewing area. That includes east and west Baton Rouge, includes Livingston, St. Helena, Tangipahoa Parish, Washington Parish, east and west Feliciana, and Point Coupee, and it also includes all of our counties in southern Mississippi. What it means is that environment conditions are favorable for damaging winds, large hail, isolated tornadoes, frequent lightning, and yes, that potential for an isolated thunderstorm or two out there. So just keep an eye on that as we head into the morning hours. You can see that preliminary thunderstorm watch is until 4 o'clock in the morning, but most likely, and there's been talks online that they could extend it with a much larger severe thunderstorm watch heading into the early morning hours that could include our entire viewing area, or they could even upgrade it to a tornado watch as we head into those early morning hours. And a tornado watch means that, yeah, there is the potential that we could see isolated tornadoes spawn heading into the early morning hours. So here's where those storms currently sit. As you take a look at our exclusive live Viper radar, we've got a pocket or cluster just around Alexandria, a little bit north of Natchez, heading south of Monroe now towards the Vicksburg area. We've had a nice little batch of thunderstorms around Jackson, and at one point we had multiple severe thunderstorm warnings along that line, and kind of speckled in that line also a couple tornado warnings for potential rotation. That's going to happen as some of these individual thunderstorms out there start to bow from time to time. Now again, if you see a big bow, that could be straight line winds, and I think that's definitely going to be our biggest issue this evening, as it's going to push those winds down and very quickly from upper levels of the atmosphere, because we're getting some support on the back end of this system. And watch this. I'm showing you another band that's developing from Springfield, Missouri, all the way through Fort Smith, and that extends almost back towards the Dallas area, or at least the north side of town. And that's the area of concern. Even south of Tyler, Texas, 2 more warned areas, and it looks like those could be a little small, discrete supercells out there, so it's probable of some very very large hail. But again, that line back towards the northwest is eventually going to make its way and most likely catch up to that cluster across central and northern Louisiana. And as the two merge, well, they're going to merge just north of us and then drive through the area and potentially elevate the intensity of this system. And that's the concern. As those storms start to fire up, does this help to kick and ignite it and push it through our area at a more rapid pace, or does it just really kind of build this system and really dump a ton of rain on top of us along with those strong winds? So as you see here, we've also got a couple more showers developing around Ascension, just around I-55 and a little bit south of New Orleans. We're keeping a close eye on those too, because some models are indicating as those storms start to jump their way towards the northeast, and you can even see a little bit closer now just around the Donaldsonville area and right across I-10 that some of these little cells are starting to grow. They're starting to become a little bit stronger out there. We're not seeing lightning quite yet, but it's definitely something that we're going to watch very closely, because some of those models are indicating as soon as those cells start moving their way back towards the northeast and across I-55 into Tangipahoa, Washington, and then around the Hattiesburg area, well, yeah, they could be blowing up into some little small supercells, and out of supercells, well, you have to worry about isolated tornadoes. So we're watching that closely. Just watch your future track here, and I want to show you this closely because you see what I was talking about. Notice just around Bogalusa, there's a few individual cells that quickly intensify that we need to watch out for. Those drive towards the northeast, pretty much just outside of our viewing area. I'll step it forward, and you see that line that extends from Fort Polk, north of Opelousas, south of Alexandria, all the way through Natchez and then into southern Mississippi. Well, that line drives through at about 5 a.m. and that seems to be the current timing right now, give or take an hour or two. So around 3 to, I would say, about maybe 7 in the morning. And I think the main wave for at least the capital area, downtown Baton Rouge, Livingston, probably somewhere in that 4 to 5 category. Point Capee, maybe 1 to 2. So if you live in New Roads or St. Francisville, Clinton, maybe around 3, 4 o'clock. Southern Mississippi, probably in that 2 to 3 range. And then if you live down in Ascension or Assumption on a little bit southeast of Baton Rouge, we're kind of falling into that category of probably around 5 to about 7 in the morning. So, but as you see kind of embedded in that line, those purples and maybe even those blacks a little bit further northeast in Mississippi, that's really going to be the concern. Do we have enough wind shear ahead of this system to produce those isolated tornadoes? Obviously, the rainfall rates are going to be very intense. We've already had some reports across the northern part of the state with, again, rainfall rates easily at 1 inch to 2 inches per hour. And if this line drives down by us, a lot of deep tropical moisture right now, we could easily see 2 to 3 inches per hour. And that's why we got to almost focus our attention on localized flash flooding too, because it looks like it's going to stick around for a few hours before it eventually clears. So that'll start to add up a little bit. So watch out for some ponding water if you have to be on the roadways. I also want to point out that large hail, we've already had numerous reports of hail with this system across Arkansas, Texas, and northern Louisiana and portions of Mississippi. So this system does have a history of producing strong thunderstorms. And then you see here, even by 8 o'clock, we're still dealing with some showers and thunderstorms with that main line now pushing south of New Orleans, getting closer to the coast before it eventually clears by the afternoon. And those winds do shift out of the north or northwest, and that'll quickly clear us out. That's the good news. By the time we move into the evening hours, Sunday should actually be pretty nice with plenty of sunshine out there. So here are the greatest threats. Tonight, going into the morning hours, the potential for some high winds, damaging winds, straight line winds that could exceed 60 miles per hour in many locations. That could cause widespread power outages. That could also produce a lot of tree damage in many areas. And if you have any furniture, such as your lawn furniture or front patio furniture that's loose, secure it now. Put it in the garage or bring it inside if necessary. If you have something in your garden that you think could topple over quickly, now would be a good time to put it in. There is the possibility for tornadoes. We're talking mainly quick spin-ups. EF0s, EF1s, maybe an outlier being an EF2. Large hail, possibility of an inch in diameter or greater. And then localized flash flooding. That's still a threat, obviously, if we start to see some of these intense rainfall rates. And obviously, that's also going to limit some of our visibility. But when you take a look at our estimated rainfall rates and you see over the next 5 days, not just with this system, but with this system, there's that potential 2 to 3 inches. And then you expand it over 5 days, and you can see here that we're calling for rain totals. Yeah, it could easily surpass 5 inches in some locations. So here you go. Taking a look at your safety, and this is what you need to do before heading to bed. Stay up to date with the forecast, and every once in a while check in. Have multiple ways to receive warnings, whether that be your cell phone. If you have your cell phone, make sure it's charged. Make sure the volume is up before heading to bed so you can hear those new warnings come in. Otherwise, have a weather radio. If you have one, check the batteries on it before heading to bed. Leave the TV on, that's good. You can also check social media. Have a game plan, know where your safe place is. If you wake up in the middle of the night, tornado warning, you know where the kids are, run, get to that room immediately. Maybe put the pillows in there just in case already, something to cover your head from flying debris if that becomes a scenario or a situation. And then download our free app because you're going to get the latest alerts out there heading into those early morning hours. You can find our app on the App Store or at Google Play. And as you see here, again, that's giving you the latest information. Just look for BR Proud and you'll be able to find out what we're talking about. And again, that risk for us this evening is between 2 and about 8 a.m. We'll get a break on Sunday. However, unfortunately, it looks like we got more storms on the way for a majority of next week. And then we do cool off a little bit instead of temperatures in the mid-80s like they were today. Yes, again, it was warm. It was a humid one out there. It was a windy one out there. A lot of the ingredients for what could be an active night. So Mother Nature is keeping us busy out there, and we will continue to monitor the storms. And I just want to give you one more last shot just to show you, again, what we're currently watching closely out here. And you'll see that we've got a couple individual storms right now, nothing severe between Gonzales and Laplace, but those storms and individual cells are expected to strengthen as they head towards the northeast. We're watching this cluster right now that seems to be going almost due east or northeast from Alexandria to Natchez towards the Jackson area and just a little bit south of Vicksburg. And you can see in that line severe thunderstorm warnings kind of popping up across the board. But here's that big kick on the backside, and we've got those areas from Fayetteville through Fort Smith all the way down to McKinney, Texas, and then another little cluster south of Tyler, Texas. And again, that's where we're going to get the support. You're going to start to see a lot of these thunderstorms kind of merge and then push their way into southeastern Louisiana between the hours of 2 and most likely 7 or 8 in the morning. So once again, have a game plan. We're going to be here through the overnight guiding you through this. I'll be here. I'm going to hand it off to Ashley Ruiz, our morning meteorologist. She's going to guide it through the early morning hours. I'll be here back and bright in the morning. If you have any questions, you can always tune into our television stations, also our NBC and our Fox, but you can also tune into our live stream as we're going to do that from time to time this evening just to make sure you are safe throughout this entire storm. So once again, stay safe, stay smart, and stay weather aware.